When my son looked at me across that living room and said the words, "You are not the woman I thought you were," I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. Not because I did not deserve it, but because I had spent 16 years building a wall between the truth and the people I loved most. And in one afternoon, that wall came crashing down. My name is Rebecca. I am 43 years old. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment on the east side of Charlotte, North Carolina. The walls are thin enough that I can hear my neighbor's television through the bedroom wall. The carpet is beige and worn. There is a water stain on the ceiling above the kitchen sink that looks like a map of some country I have never visited. This is not the life I imagined for myself, but it is the life I earned. I am about to tell you the story of the worst mistake I ever made, and how it destroyed everything I thought I had built. This is not a story about redemption that came easy. This is not a story where I get to walk away clean. This is a story about lies, shame, consequences, and the slow, painful work of becoming someone worth forgiving. Some of you will judge me before I finish. Some of you already have. I understand that. I have judged myself far more harshly than you ever could, but I am going to tell you anyway. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear this. Someone is making the same choices I made. Someone is telling themselves the same lies. And maybe, just maybe, my story will stop them before it is too late. It started on a Tuesday in March of 2007. I remember because it was raining, the kind of rain that does not just fall, but seems to press down on everything, turning the world gray and heavy. The kind of rain that makes you want to stay in bed with the covers pulled over your head and pretend the day has not started yet. I was 30 years old. I had been married to Daniel for 6 years. We lived in a quiet suburb outside Charlotte, in a pale yellow house with a front porch and a magnolia tree that bloomed every spring. The house had 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a backyard with a wooden fence that Daniel had built himself the summer after we moved in. There was a porch swing that creaked when you sat on it. There was a welcome mat at the front door that said, "Bless this home." There were pictures on the walls of our wedding day, of vacations we had taken, of Daniel's family gathered around a Thanksgiving table. From the outside, my life looked fine. Good, even. Daniel worked long hours as a project manager for a construction company. I worked part-time at a dental office, answering phones and scheduling appointments. We had a mortgage, 2 cars, a dog named Biscuit. We went to church on Sundays. We had dinner with his parents every other weekend. We were normal. But normal does not mean happy. And that is where the trouble started. Daniel and I had stopped talking. I do not mean we stopped speaking to each other. I mean, we stopped really talking. The kind of talking where you share what is actually happening inside you. The kind where you admit you are scared, or lonely, or that you miss the person sitting right next to you. We had become polite strangers who shared a bed. I remember one night in particular. It was late February. Daniel came home around 9:30, which was early for him. I was sitting on the couch watching a cooking show I did not care about. He walked in, set his briefcase by the door, loosened his tie, and said, "Hey." "Hey," I said back. "Did you eat?" he asked. "Yeah. I left you a plate in the fridge." "Thanks." He went to the kitchen. I heard the microwave beep. He came back with his plate and sat in the armchair across from me, not next to me. We used to sit together. We used to curl up on the couch with a blanket and watch movies and talk about nothing and everything. But somewhere along the way, we had started choosing separate chairs. He ate in silence. I pretended to watch the television. When he was done, he took his plate to the kitchen, rinsed it, came back, and said, "I am going to take a shower and go to bed. Big day tomorrow." "Okay," I said. "You coming to bed soon?" "In a bit." He nodded and walked upstairs. I sat there for another hour, staring at the television, feeling this ache in my chest that I could not name. It was not anger. It was not even sadness. It was just this emptiness. This sense that I was disappearing one day at a time and no one was noticing. I told myself it was just a phase, that all marriages go through this, that if I kept smiling, kept cooking dinner, kept folding his laundry, things would get better on their own. But they did not. And then I met Marcus. Let me take you back a little further. Let me show you who I was before all of this, because I was not always the woman who lied to her husband. I was not always the woman who carried a secret so heavy it bent my spine. I grew up in Asheville, North Carolina. My father was a high school teacher. My mother stayed home and raised me and my 2 younger brothers. We were not wealthy, but we were comfortable. We went to church every Sunday. We had family dinners every night. My mother taught me how to cook, how to sew, how to keep a home. My father taught me how to change a tire, how to balance a checkbook, how to stand up for myself. I was a good girl. I got good grades. I did not drink or smoke or stay out late. I dated a boy named Tommy in high school, but we broke up when he went off to college in Virginia and I stayed behind to attend community college. I worked at a coffee shop to pay my tuition. That is where I met Daniel. He came in every morning at 7:30. Black coffee and a blueberry muffin. He always sat by the window with the newspaper spread out in front of him. He had kind eyes. The kind that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. He was quiet, steady, dependable. Everything I thought I wanted. It took him 3 months to ask me out. 3 months of polite good mornings and thank yous and small talk about the weather. Then one day, he handed me a folded piece of paper with his coffee order. Inside, it said, "Would you like to have dinner with me sometime?" Check yes or no. Like we were in middle school. I checked yes. Our first date was at a little Italian restaurant downtown. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about growing up in Charlotte, about his parents who had been married for 30 years, about his job in construction management, about his dream of owning his own company someday. I told him about my classes, about my family, about my plan to become a dental hygienist. He walked me to my car afterward. He did not try to kiss me. He just said, "I really enjoyed tonight, Rebecca. Can I see you again?" I said yes. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. It was not a grand proposal. We were sitting on the couch in his apartment watching a movie, and he paused it halfway through, turned to me, and said, "I think we should get married. No ring yet, no knee, just a simple, honest question." I laughed. "Are you serious?" "Yes," he said. "I love you. I want to spend my life with you. I know I should have planned something more romantic, but I have been thinking about it for months, and I just could not wait anymore." He pulled a ring box out of his pocket. The ring was simple, a single diamond on a silver band. Nothing flashy, just beautiful. "Rebecca Lynn Carter," he said. "Will you marry me?" I said yes because I loved him. I did. I truly did. We got married 6 months later, in September of 2001. It was a small wedding at my parents' church in Asheville. My mother made my dress. Daniel's father officiated. We honeymooned in Myrtle Beach for a long weekend because that is all we could afford. The first few years of our marriage were good. We laughed more. We stayed up late talking about the future. We wanted kids, maybe 2 or 3. We wanted to travel, to see the mountains out west, to visit Europe someday. We wanted to grow old in a house filled with grandchildren and memories. We bought the yellow house in 2003. It needed work, but Daniel was good with his hands. He repainted every room. He refinished the hardwood floors. He built shelves in the garage and a garden bed in the backyard. I planted tomatoes and herbs. We adopted Biscuit from the shelter, a scruffy mutt with one floppy ear. On weekends, we would drive out to the lake and have picnics. We would walk around the farmer's market downtown and buy fresh bread and honey. We would sit on the porch in the evenings and watch the sun go down and talk about our day. But somewhere along the way, we stopped doing those things. Daniel got promoted at work. It was a good thing, we told ourselves. More money, more opportunity. But it also meant longer hours, more stress, more nights when he came home too tired to talk, too drained to do anything but eat and sleep. I tried to be understanding. I tried to be supportive, but I also started to feel invisible, like I was just part of the furniture, like my only purpose was to keep the house running while he built his career. I started going to a yoga class on Tuesday nights, just to have something to do. I joined a book club that met once a month at the library. I filled my days with errands and chores and small distractions that kept me from thinking too hard about how lonely I was. But late at night, when the house was quiet and Daniel was asleep beside me, I would stare at the ceiling and feel this ache, this deep, unbearable ache that told me I was disappearing, that I was becoming invisible, even to myself. I tried to talk to him about it. One Sunday morning, we were having breakfast. I made pancakes, his favorite. I poured him coffee and sat down across from him and said, "Daniel, I miss you." He looked up from his plate. "I am right here, Becca." "I know," I said, "but you are not really here. You are always thinking about work. You are always tired. I feel like we do not connect anymore." He sighed. "I know. I am sorry. Things are just really crazy right now. We are working on this big project, and my boss is breathing down my neck, and I am just trying to keep everything together." "I understand that," I said. "But I need you too. I need us to spend time together. I need to feel like I matter to you." "You do matter to me," he said. "You know you do." "Then show me," I said. He reached across the table and took my hand. "I will, I promise. Things will slow down soon, and we will take a vacation or something. Just you and me." But things did not slow down, and we did not take a vacation. And I stopped asking, because I was tired of hearing the same promises that never came true. That is the state I was in when Marcus knocked on my door one morning in March, holding a package that had been delivered to his house by mistake. Marcus and Diane had moved into the neighborhood the previous spring. They were a young couple, probably in their early 30s, friendly and cheerful. Diane was a nurse at Carolina Medical Center. She worked long shifts, often leaving before dawn and coming home after dark. Marcus was a freelance graphic designer who worked from home most days. I had seen them around. We had waved to each other from our driveways. We had exchanged pleasantries at the mailbox. But I did not really know them. That changed the morning Marcus showed up at my door. It was around 10 in the morning. Daniel had left for work hours earlier. I was still in my pajamas, a pair of cotton shorts and an old t-shirt, my hair pulled back in a messy bun. I was not expecting anyone. When the doorbell rang, Biscuit started barking. I hushed him and opened the door. Marcus was standing on my porch, wearing a gray sweatshirt and jeans. His hair was damp, like he had just gotten out of the shower. He had green eyes and an easy smile. He was holding a small cardboard box. "Hey," he said. "I am sorry to bother you. This got delivered to our place by mistake." He handed me the box. It was addressed to me. "Oh," I said, taking it. "Thank you. I have been waiting for this." "No problem." He smiled. "I am Marcus, by the way. I live a few doors down." "Rebecca," I said, "but most people call me Becca." Nice to officially meet you, Becca. There was a pause, an awkward, pleasant pause, where neither of us seemed to know what to say next. Do you want to come in for coffee? I asked. I do not know why I asked. Maybe because I was lonely. Maybe because it had been so long since I had a conversation with someone who was not Daniel or my coworkers. He hesitated. I do not want to impose. You are not, I said. I was just about to make a pot anyway. That was a lie, but it felt true in the moment. He came in. Biscuit sniffed his shoes and wagged his tail. I led Marcus to the kitchen and started the coffee maker. We sat at the kitchen table and talked about nothing important. The weather, the neighborhood, the fact that his dog, a golden retriever named Gatsby, kept digging holes in their backyard, and Diane was furious about it. She loves that dog, Marcus said, but she is convinced he is trying to escape to China. I laughed. It felt good to laugh. We talked for almost an hour. About where we grew up, about our jobs, about how we ended up in Charlotte. He told me he had moved from Seattle because Diane got a job offer she could not turn down. He told me he missed the Pacific Northwest, the mountains, and the rain, and the coffee culture. There is good coffee here, too, I said. True, he said, but it is not the same. When he left, I stood by the window and watched him walk back to his house, and I felt something I had not felt in years. I felt noticed. Over the next few weeks, Marcus and I started talking more. It started innocently enough. We would run into each other outside. He would be checking the mail. I would be walking Biscuit. We would chat for a few minutes. Then he started texting me. Just little things. A funny meme. A question about a restaurant recommendation. A picture of Gatsby covered in mud. I should have seen it for what it was. I should have drawn a line, but I did not, because it felt harmless. It felt like friendship. Then one afternoon in early April, Marcus texted me and asked if I wanted to come over for coffee while Diane was at work. He said he had just finished a big project and wanted to celebrate with someone. I should have said no. I should have made an excuse. But I did not. I went. His house was different from mine, more modern, cleaner lines, lots of natural light. He made coffee in a French press, and we sat on his back porch overlooking the yard where Gatsby was digging yet another hole. Diane is going to kill him, Marcus said, shaking his head. We talked for hours about life, about dreams, about the things we wished we had done differently. And somewhere in that conversation, I told him the truth. I told him I was lonely. I told him my marriage felt like it was dying, and I did not know how to save it. He listened. He did not judge. He just listened. And then he said, I am lonely too. I looked at him. But you and Diane seem so happy. He shrugged. We are. But happy does not mean fulfilled. She works all the time. I work all the time. We are like roommates who share a bed. I understood that feeling all too well. That is when I should have left. That is when I should have recognized the danger. But I did not. Because for the first time in years, I felt seen. I felt understood. I felt like I mattered. The affair started 2 weeks later. It was not planned. I wish I could say it was some grand seduction, some moment of overwhelming passion that swept me away. But it was not. It was quiet and slow and inevitable. We were sitting on his couch, talking, and then we were not talking. We were kissing. And then we were in his bedroom. And then we were crossing a line I knew I could never uncross. Afterward, I cried. Not because I regretted it, but because I knew what I had just done. I knew the kind of person I had just become. Marcus held me and said, We do not have to do this again. We can pretend this never happened. But we did do it again, and again, and again. The affair lasted 3 months. 3 months of stolen afternoons. 3 months of text messages deleted as soon as they were read. 3 months of looking Daniel in the eye every night and pretending I was still the woman he married. I told myself it was not serious. I told myself it was just a distraction, a way to feel human again. I told myself I would end it soon before anyone got hurt. But then I missed my period. At first, I did not think much of it. My cycle had always been a little irregular. Stress could throw it off. I had been under a lot of stress lately, juggling work and the affair and the constant guilt that sat like a stone in my stomach. But when the second week passed, and then the third, a cold, creeping dread began to settle in my chest. I could not be pregnant. I could not be. But I was. I bought a pregnancy test at a drugstore 20 minutes from home, somewhere no one would recognize me. I wore sunglasses even though it was overcast. I paid in cash. I shoved the test into my purse like it was contraband. I could not take it at home. I could not risk Daniel finding it. So I drove to a gas station off the highway, locked myself in the bathroom, and took the test. I sat on the floor, my back against the cold tile wall, and stared at the little plastic stick in my hand. 1 line meant not pregnant, 2 lines meant pregnant. 2 lines appeared. I could not breathe. I could not think. The bathroom smelled like bleach and urine. Someone was banging on the door, asking if I was okay. I was not okay. I was not okay at all. Because I knew with absolute certainty that the baby was not Daniel's. Daniel and I had not been intimate in over 4 months. We had tried once or twice, but it had felt mechanical, distant, and we had both given up without saying it out loud. The baby was Marcus's. I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. My mind was racing. What was I going to do? Tell Daniel the truth? Confess everything and watch my life implode? Get an abortion and pretend this never happened? I thought about abortion. I truly did. I even looked up clinics on my phone. But I could not do it. Not because I am against it. I am not. But because I knew that if I went through with it, the guilt would eat me alive. I would never forgive myself. I would carry that secret for the rest of my life. So I made a different choice. A choice that would haunt me for the next 16 years. I decided to lie. I drove home in a daze. I walked into the house. Daniel was not home yet. I went upstairs, took a shower, and stood under the hot water until my skin turned pink and my tears mixed with the spray. Then I dried off, put on makeup, and waited for my husband to come home. When Daniel walked through the door that night, I was in the kitchen making dinner. Chicken and rice, his favorite. I had set the table. I had lit candles. I was wearing the blue dress he liked. He looked surprised. "What is all this?" "I just wanted to do something nice," I said. "We have not had a real dinner together in a while." He smiled, a real smile, the kind I had not seen in months. "This is great, Becca, thank you." We ate, we talked. I asked him about his day. He asked me about mine. I lied and said it was uneventful. Just work, errands, the usual. After dinner, I poured him a glass of wine. We sat on the couch. I curled up next to him, something I had not done in weeks. He put his arm around me. "I have missed this," he said softly. "Me too," I said, and then I kissed him. He was surprised, but he did not question it. He kissed me back, and for the first time in months, we were close again. Really close. I know how that sounds. I know what you must be thinking. But I need you to understand. I was not thinking clearly. I was panicking. I was drowning, and in that moment, all I could see was a way to make the problem go away. 2 weeks later, I told him I was pregnant. We were in the kitchen. It was a Saturday morning. He was making eggs. I was sitting at the table with a cup of tea, trying to work up the courage. "Daniel," I said. My voice was shaking. He looked over. "Yeah? I need to tell you something." He turned off the stove and came over to the table. "What is wrong? You look pale." "I am pregnant." The words hung in the air. He stared at me. "What?" "I am pregnant," I said again. For a moment, he did not react. Then his face broke into the biggest smile I had ever seen. He pulled me up from the chair and wrapped his arms around me so tight I could barely breathe. "Are you serious?" he said. "Becca, are you serious?" "Yes," I said, and I started crying, not tears of joy, tears of shame. But he thought they were happy tears. He kissed my forehead and my cheeks and my lips and said, "We are going to be parents. We are going to have a baby." "Oh my God, Becca, we are going to have a baby," he cried. Actual tears. He held me and cried and laughed at the same time. And I held him back and felt my soul crack in half. That night, he called his parents. He called my parents. He told everyone. His mother cried. His father congratulated us. My mother started planning a baby shower. And I stood there, smiling, nodding, saying thank you, while inside, I was screaming. I ended things with Marcus the next day. I sent him a text that said, "This has to stop. I cannot do this anymore." He responded within minutes. "Are you okay?" "I am pregnant," I typed. "I told Daniel it is his." There was a long pause. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, he wrote back, "Is it mine?" "I do not know," I lied, but I did know. I knew exactly whose it was. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "Just forget this ever happened." Another pause. Then, "I understand. Take care of yourself, Rebecca." That was it. No drama, no fight, no demands. Just a quiet mutual agreement to pretend it never happened. Marcus and Diane moved away 6 months later. He got a job opportunity in Austin, Texas. They packed up their house, sold it, and left. I never saw him again. I never told him when the baby was born. I never sent pictures. I just let him disappear from my life like he was never there. But he was there. Every time I looked at my son, he was there. The pregnancy was hard, not physically, though I was nauseous for the first 3 months and exhausted for the rest. But emotionally, it was a slow, suffocating kind of torture. Every time Daniel talked about the baby, every time he put his hand on my belly and smiled, I felt the lie grow heavier. He started reading parenting books. He bought a crib and assembled it in the spare bedroom. He painted the nursery a soft blue when we found out we were having a boy. He picked out names. He made lists of things we needed to buy. One night, he sat next to me on the couch with a baby name book in his lap. "What about Ethan?" he said. "Ethan James Walker. It has a good ring to it." "I like it," I said, and I did. It was a strong name, a good name. "Ethan it is then," he said, smiling. He leaned over and kissed my belly. "Hey, Ethan, I am your dad. I cannot wait to meet you." I had to leave the room. I went upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom and cried until I could not breathe. Daniel's mother threw me a baby shower. She invited all her friends from church, all the women from her garden club, all the aunts and cousins and neighbors. We played games. We ate cake. I opened gifts. Everyone kept telling me how lucky I was, how happy Daniel must be, how blessed we were. I smiled and nodded and said thank you. But inside, I felt like I was suffocating. Our son was born on December 15th, 2007. It was a cold, clear morning. My water broke at 5 a.m. Daniel rushed me to the hospital. He held my hand through the contractions. He coached me through the breathing exercises we had learned in our birthing class. He was there for every moment. Ethan was born at 2:17 in the afternoon. He weighed 7 pounds, 4 ounces. He had a full head of dark hair and tiny, perfect fingers. The nurse placed him in my arms. I looked down at his face, at his closed eyes and his rosebud mouth, and I fell in love. Instantly, completely, overwhelmingly. But I also felt this deep, gnawing shame. Because every time I looked at him, I saw my lie. I saw the secret I was forcing him to carry without his knowledge. Daniel held him next and started crying again. "He is perfect, Becca. He is absolutely perfect." "He is," I whispered. "He has your eyes," Daniel said. "And your nose," I said. That was true. Ethan did have Daniel's nose, but everything else, his hair, his build, the shape of his face, that was all Marcus. But Daniel did not see it. He saw what he wanted to see. He saw his son. The first few years of Ethan's life were a blur. Sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, teething and fevers and milestones. Daniel was an amazing father. He woke up with Ethan in the middle of the night when I was too exhausted. He changed diapers without complaint. He read bedtime stories. He built block towers and played peekaboo and made silly faces until Ethan laughed. Ethan's first word was Dada. Daniel cried when it happened. He picked Ethan up and spun him around and said, "Did you hear that, Becca? He said Dada. He said my name." I smiled and took a picture, but inside I felt like I was dying. Ethan grew. He learned to walk at 11 months. He learned to talk early. He was smart, curious, energetic. He loved trucks and trains and dinosaurs. He loved being outside. He loved his father. Daniel and Ethan were inseparable. They played catch in the backyard. They built model airplanes together at the kitchen table. They went fishing on Saturday mornings. Daniel coached Ethan's Little League team when he was old enough to play. He never missed a game, never missed a practice. I watched them together, and I felt two things at once: love and guilt. Love for the bond they had built, guilt for the lie that made it possible. Ethan adored Daniel. He wanted to be just like him. He wore his old baseball caps. He followed him around the house. He called him his hero. And I told myself I had done the right thing, that Ethan was happy, that Daniel was happy, that the lie had given us a family we would not have had otherwise. But lies do not stay buried forever, and the truth has a way of finding the light. Ethan was 16 when he found out. It was October of 2023, a Saturday afternoon. The leaves were turning gold and red. The air had that crisp, clean smell that meant winter was coming. Ethan had been assigned a biology project on genetics. He needed to create a family tree and identify inherited traits: eye color, hair color, blood type. He had been working on it all week. He had interviewed Daniel's parents about their family history. He had asked me about my side of the family. He had taken pictures of all of us and was organizing them into a poster board. That afternoon, he came downstairs to the kitchen where I was making dinner. He had his textbook in his hand and a strange look on his face. "Mom," he said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, honey," I said. I was chopping vegetables for a stir-fry. I did not look up. "What blood type are you?" I paused. "Type O. Why?" "And Dad?" "He is type O too. Why are you asking?" Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I am type AB." I set down the knife. "What?" "I had my blood typed at that health fair at school last year, remember? They gave us cards with our blood type on them. I am type AB. My heart started pounding. Those tests are not always accurate, Ethan. There could have been a mistake. That is what I thought too, he said. But look. He opened his textbook and pointed to a chart, a Punnett square. According to this, 2 type O parents cannot have a type AB child. It is genetically impossible. The room started spinning. I gripped the edge of the counter. There has to be a mistake, I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. Maybe the health fair got it wrong. Those quick tests are not as reliable as lab tests. Ethan looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Suspicion. Or maybe the mistake is somewhere else, he said quietly. What are you saying? I asked, but I already knew. I do not know, he said, but I want to take another test, a real one, from a lab. I should have confessed right then. I should have sat him down and told him the truth before he went looking for it himself. But I did not, because I was still a coward. Because I still thought I could control this. Because I was terrified of losing everything. Ethan, this is ridiculous, I said. You are overthinking this. Those genetics charts are simplified. There are exceptions. You should ask your biology teacher. I already did, he said. She said that if I am really type AB and you and Dad are really both type O, then I need to get retested because one of those results has to be wrong. Okay, I said, forcing myself to stay calm. Then let us all get retested. I am sure it is just a lab error. But I knew it was not. Ethan did not push it that day. He went back upstairs. I stood in the kitchen, my hands shaking, the vegetables forgotten on the cutting board. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed next to Daniel, listening to him breathe, and I knew that my time was running out. The secret I had kept for 16 years was about to explode. I thought about confessing. I thought about waking Daniel up right then and telling him everything. But I could not make the words come out. I was too afraid. 2 weeks later, Ethan came home from school with a package. He had ordered a DNA test online. One of those at-home kits that tests ancestry and family relationships. He did not tell us he was doing it. He just did it. He swabbed his cheek, mailed it off, and waited for the results. I found out when I saw the kit in the trash can in his bathroom. The box was from a company called Ancestry Path. My stomach dropped. I went to his room. He was at his desk, doing homework. Ethan, I said, what is this? I held up the empty box. He turned around. He did not look guilty. He looked determined. I took a DNA test, he said. I want to know the truth. The truth about what? I asked, even though I knew. About whether Dad is really my father? The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Ethan, of course he is your father, I said. Why would you even question that? Because the blood types do not match, he said. And you are acting really weird about it. If there is nothing to hide, why are you so upset that I took the test? I could not answer that. I just stood there, the empty box in my hand, feeling my world crumble. The results will be here in 2 weeks, Ethan said. And then we will know for sure. Those were the longest 2 weeks of my life. I walked around in a fog. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I kept rehearsing what I would say when the truth came out, but no matter how many times I practiced, I could not find the right words. Daniel noticed something was wrong. Are you okay? He asked one night. We were in bed. He was reading. I was staring at the ceiling. I am fine, I lied. You've been acting strange lately, he said. Is something bothering you? Just tired, I said. Work has been stressful. He believed me, or maybe he just did not want to push. Either way, he let it go. The results came on a Thursday. I was at work when Ethan called me. "Mom," he said. His voice was flat. "We need to talk. Come home." "I am at work, honey. Can it wait?" "No," he said. "It cannot." I left work early. I told my boss I was sick. I drove home with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. When I walked into the house, Ethan and Daniel were sitting at the kitchen table. Ethan had his laptop open in front of him. Daniel looked confused. "What is going on?" I asked. Ethan turned the laptop toward me. On the screen was the DNA test results. "According to this," Ethan said, his voice shaking, "there is a 0% chance that Dad is my biological father." The silence that followed was deafening. Daniel looked at Ethan, then he looked at me. His face was pale. "Becca," he said, "what is he talking about?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. "Mom," Ethan said, tell him the truth." And so I did. I told them everything about Marcus, about the affair, about the pregnancy, about the lie I had built and the life I had stolen from all of us. Daniel did not yell. He did not throw things. He did not rage. He just stood up, walked out of the room, and locked himself in our bedroom. Ethan sat across from me, staring at me like I was a stranger. "Who is he?" Ethan asked. His voice was cold. "Who is my real father?" "His name is Marcus," I said. "He lived down the street. He and his wife moved away before you were born." "Does he know about me?" "I told him I was pregnant," I said. "But I never told him when you were born. I never sent pictures. I never contacted him again." "So I have a father out there who does not even know I exist," Ethan said. "Daniel is your father," I said desperately. "Ethan, he is the one who raised you. He is the one who loves you. He is your dad in every way that matters." "But he is not my dad," Ethan said. "Not really, and you lied to both of us for my entire life." He stood up. He walked to the door. He turned back and looked at me one last time. "I do not know who you are," he said, "but you are not the woman I thought you were." And then he left. Ethan did not come home that night. He texted me once just to say he was staying with his best friend, Connor. He did not answer when I called. He did not respond to my messages. Daniel stayed locked in the bedroom for 3 days. He only came out to use the bathroom or get water. He would not talk to me. He would not even look at me. On the 3rd day, I knocked on the door. "Daniel," I said, "please, we need to talk." "There is nothing to talk about," he said from the other side of the door. "Please," I begged. "Just let me explain." The door opened. He was standing there in sweatpants and a t-shirt. He had not shaved. His eyes were red. "Explain what?" he said. "Explain how you cheated on me? Explain how you lied to me for 16 years? Explain how you let me raise another man's child and never told me?" "I was scared," I said. "I was so scared of losing you." "So you thought lying was better?" he said. "You thought that was the answer?" "I did not know what else to do," I said. "I made a mistake. A terrible, unforgivable mistake. But I love you, Daniel. I have always loved you." He laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. "You do not do this to someone you love. You do not lie to them every single day for 16 years. You do not let them fall in love with a child and then tell them it was all based on a lie." "He is still your son," I said. "You raised him. You are the only father he has ever known." "But I am not his father," Daniel said, "and every time I look at him, I am going to see your betrayal. I am going to remember that you lied to me, that you made a fool out of me." "I am sorry," I whispered. "I am so, so sorry." Sorry does not fix this, he said. Sorry does not give me back the last 16 years. Sorry does not undo what you did. He walked past me, grabbed his car keys, and left. I did not know where he went. He did not come back until late that night. When Ethan finally came home 2 days later, he went straight to his room. He did not speak to me. He did not speak to Daniel. He just shut himself in and stayed there. I tried to talk to him. I knocked on his door. I left food outside. I wrote him letters and slid them under the door. He did not respond. After a week, Daniel and I had a conversation. A real conversation. He sat me down at the kitchen table and said, "I am filing for divorce." I had been expecting it, but hearing the words still felt like a knife to the chest. "Okay," I said. "I understand." "I cannot be married to you anymore, Rebecca," he said. "I cannot even look at you without feeling sick. Every memory I have of the last 16 years feels tainted now. Every moment I thought was real was actually built on a lie." "I know," I said. "I do not blame you." "I am going to ask for full custody of Ethan," he said. "He is not your biological son," I said quietly. "He is my son," Daniel said firmly. "I do not care what the DNA says. I raised him, I love him, and he needs stability right now. He needs to be with someone he can trust. And that is not you." He was right. I knew he was right. "I will not fight you," I said. "But I want visitation. I want to see him." "That will be up to him," Daniel said. "If he wants to see you, I will not stop him. But I am not going to force him." And that was it. That was the end of my marriage. Word spread fast in our small community. Ethan told his best friend, Connor. Connor told his mother. His mother told her sister, who went to our church. Within 2 weeks, everyone knew. I started getting looks at the grocery store, whispers at the gas station. A woman I had known for years crossed the street to avoid me when she saw me coming. At church, people stopped sitting near us. The pastor's wife, who had been friendly to me for years, gave me a cold nod and turned away. One Sunday, I was leaving the service when a woman from the women's Bible study group approached me. Her name was Linda. She was in her 60s, always perfectly put together, always had an opinion about everything. "Rebecca," she said. Her voice was sweet, but her eyes were hard. "I have been praying for you." "Thank you," I said quietly. "What you did," she said, "is a sin. You understand that, do not you?" I nodded. "I do." "I hope you have asked for forgiveness," she said. "From God? From your husband? From your poor son?" "I have," I said. "Good," she said, "because you have a lot to answer for." She walked away, leaving me standing there in the parking lot, humiliated and ashamed. Daniel's parents stopped speaking to me. They had adored Ethan. They had been at every birthday, every school play, every baseball game. And now they felt betrayed too. They felt like I had stolen their grandson from them. Daniel's mother called me once. Just once. It was late at night. I was lying in bed, unable to sleep. "Rebecca," she said when I answered. Her voice was cold. "I just want you to know that I will never forgive you for what you have done to my son." "I understand," I said. "Do you?" she said. "Do you understand what you have done? You destroyed him. You destroyed our family. And for what? For some fling with a neighbor?" I did not have an answer. "Daniel is the best man I know," she continued. "He gave you everything. He loved you. He was a good husband. And you threw it all away." "I know," I whispered. "I hope you can live with yourself," she said. And then she hung up. I could not live with myself. Not really. I walked around like a ghost. I went to work, came home, went to bed. I stopped eating. I lost weight. I stopped caring about my appearance. I stopped caring about anything. My boss pulled me aside one day and asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. She did not believe me, but she did not push. At home, the house felt like a tomb. Daniel moved into the guest room. We barely spoke. Ethan stayed in his room most of the time. When he did come out, he avoided me. He looked through me like I was not even there. One night, I knocked on his door. He did not answer, but I opened it anyway. He was lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, headphones in. "Ethan," I said, "can we please talk?" He took out one earbud. "I do not have anything to say to you." "I know you are angry," I said. "I know you hate me, but I need you to know that I love you. I have always loved you, and I am so sorry." He sat up. "Do you have any idea what this feels like?" he said. "My entire life is a lie. Everything I thought I knew about myself is wrong. I do not even know who I am anymore." "You are still Ethan," I said. "You are still the same person you were before you found out." "No, I am not," he said. "I am the kid whose mom cheated on his dad. I am the kid whose dad is not really his dad. I am the kid everyone at school is whispering about." "People are talking about you at school?" I asked, alarmed. "Of course they are," he said. "Connor's mom told everyone. Now everyone knows. They look at me like I'm some kind of freak." My heart broke. "Ethan, I am so sorry. I never wanted this for you." "Then you should not have done it," he said. "You should not have lied." He was right. He was absolutely right. "I know," I said. "And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you." "You cannot make it up to me," he said. "You cannot undo what you did." He put his headphones back in and turned away from me. I left his room and went downstairs. I sat in the dark living room and cried until I had no tears left. The divorce was finalized in April of 2024. It was quick, uncontested. I did not fight for anything. I let Daniel have the house, the car, everything. I just wanted it to be over. I found a small apartment on the east side of Charlotte. It was all I could afford on my part-time salary. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a tiny kitchen. The carpet was old and stained. The walls were thin. The ceiling had water damage in the corner. But it was mine, my punishment, my penance. I moved out on a rainy Saturday in May. Daniel was at work. Ethan was at a friend's house. I did not want them to have to watch me leave. I packed my clothes, my books, a few pictures. I left everything else behind: the furniture, the dishes, the memories. As I was loading the last box into my car, I stood in the driveway and looked at the yellow house one last time. The house where I had been married. The house where I had raised my son. The house where I had built a life on a foundation of lies. I got in my car and drove away. The first few weeks in the apartment were the hardest. I had never lived alone before. I had gone from my parents' house to college to living with Daniel. I did not know how to be alone with myself. The silence was suffocating. The walls felt like they were closing in. I would wake up in the middle of the night, panicking, forgetting where I was. I called Daniel once. I do not know why. I just needed to hear his voice. "Hello?" he said when he answered. "Hi," I said. "It is me." There was a pause. "What do you want, Rebecca?" "I just wanted to see how you are doing," I said. "I am fine," he said. His voice was flat. "And Ethan?" "He is managing." "Does he ask about me?" Another pause. "Sometimes." "Can I see him?" I asked. "Please?" "He is not ready yet," Daniel said. "Give him time." "How much time?" I asked. "I do not know," Daniel said. "As much as he needs." "Okay," I whispered. "I have to go," he said. "Daniel." I said quickly before he could hang up. I am sorry. I am so sorry for everything. I know, he said. And then he hung up. I sat on the floor of my empty apartment and cried. I hit rock bottom in June. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering my phone. I stopped getting out of bed. My boss called me and said if I did not come back by Monday, I would be fired. I did not care. I told her I quit. I spent days lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how I had destroyed my life, thinking about how I had hurt the people I loved most, thinking about how I deserved every bit of pain I was feeling. One night, I seriously considered ending it. I stood in my bathroom, looking at the pills in my medicine cabinet, thinking about how easy it would be to just swallow them all and make it stop. But I did not because I was strong, but because I thought about Ethan. I thought about how it would hurt him, even though he hated me. I thought about how it would be one more selfish act in a long line of selfish acts. So instead, I called a crisis hotline. The woman on the other end of the line was kind. She listened while I sobbed and told her everything. She did not judge me. She just listened. You made a mistake, she said gently. A big mistake, but you are still here, and as long as you are here, you have a chance to do better. I do not know how, I said. Start by getting help, she said. Find a therapist, join a support group. Do not try to do this alone. So I did. I found a therapist named Dr. Callahan. She was in her 50s, with kind eyes and a calm voice. She specialized in trauma and shame and grief. Our first session was brutal. She asked me to tell her my story. All of it. I broke down 3 times, but she just handed me tissues and waited patiently for me to continue. Why did you do it? She asked when I was done. I was lonely, I said. I felt invisible. That is a reason, she said, but it is not an excuse. I know, I said. Do you? She asked. Because I need you to understand the difference. A reason explains why you did something. An excuse justifies it. You had a reason. You do not have an excuse. I nodded. I understand. Good, she said. Because the work we are going to do here is not about making you feel better about what you did. It is about helping you become someone who would never do it again. We met every week, sometimes twice a week. We talked about my marriage, my childhood, my patterns of behavior. We talked about why I chose to lie instead of telling the truth. We talked about the shame I was carrying and how it was eating me alive. Shame is a heavy burden, Dr. Callahan said during one session, and you deserve to feel it, but you do not deserve to let it destroy you. There is a difference between accountability and self-destruction. I also joined a support group for women who had made mistakes. Women who had lied, cheated, hurt the people they loved. We met in the basement of a church every Thursday night. There were 8 of us. Different ages, different backgrounds, different stories. But we all had one thing in common. We had done something we regretted, and we were trying to figure out how to live with it. A woman named Paula shared first. She had embezzled money from her employer to pay off gambling debts. She had been caught, fired, and charged. She was awaiting trial. A woman named Karen had an affair that destroyed her family. She had lost custody of her kids. A woman named Michelle had lied about having cancer to get attention and money from friends and family. When the truth came out, she lost everyone. When it was my turn to share, I told my story. I told them about Marcus, about the lie, about Ethan and Daniel. I told them about the divorce, the shame, the isolation. They did not judge me. They just nodded. They understood. The hardest part, Karen said, is forgiving yourself. I do not know if I can, I said. You have to, she said. Not because you deserve it, but because you cannot move forward if you are stuck in the past. Those women became my lifeline. They were the only people who did not look at me with disgust or pity. They looked at me with understanding, with compassion, because they had been where I was. I got a new job in August. It was at a nonprofit called Second Chances, an organization that helped at-risk youth. I worked as an administrative assistant, answering phones, scheduling appointments, organizing files. It was not glamorous. It did not pay well, but it gave me purpose. I met kids who were struggling, kids who had made mistakes, kids who felt like their lives were over before they had even begun, and I saw myself in them. I started mentoring one of the girls, a 15-year-old named Jasmine. She had been caught shoplifting. Her parents had kicked her out. She was living with her grandmother and barely going to school. "Why do you even care?" she asked me one day. We were sitting in the office, sorting through donation boxes. "Because I have made mistakes too," I said. "Big ones, and I know what it feels like to think you are beyond saving." "What did you do?" she asked. I hesitated. Then I told her. Not all of it, but enough. "So, you lied to your husband and your kid?" she said. "Yes," I said. "And they hate you now?" "My husband does," I said. "My son, I do not know yet." "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Every single day," I said. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "At least you are trying to fix it." "I am trying," I said. "That is all I can do." Jasmine and I met once a week. We talked about school, about her family, about her future. Slowly, she started opening up. She started going to school more. She stopped getting into trouble. One day, her grandmother called me. "I do not know what you said to her," she said. "But she is different. She is trying. Thank you." It was a small victory, but it was something. In September, I wrote a letter to Ethan. A long, honest letter where I took full responsibility for what I had done. I did not ask for forgiveness. I just told him I was sorry, that I understood if he never wanted to see me again, that I would spend the rest of my life trying to be better. I mailed it to the house and waited. 2 weeks later, he texted me. "Can we talk?" My hands were shaking when I typed back. "Yes, anytime, anywhere." "Saturday, the diner on Main Street, noon. I will be there," I said. That Saturday, I got to the diner 15 minutes early. I sat in a booth by the window and watched the door, my heart pounding. When Ethan walked in, I stood up. He looked older, taller. He had cut his hair. He was wearing a hoodie and jeans. We hugged. It was awkward, brief, but it was something. We sat down. He ordered pancakes. I ordered coffee. For a few minutes, neither of us said anything. We just sat there, looking at each other, trying to figure out where to start. "I got your letter," he said finally. "Okay," I said. "I have read it like 10 times, he said. "And?" I asked. He took a deep breath. "I am still really angry at you." "I know," I said. "You have every right to be. But I also know you are still my mom," he said, "and I do not want to lose you." I started crying. I could not help it. "I do not deserve that," I said. "But I'm so grateful." "I'm not saying everything is okay," he said. "I'm not saying I forgive you. I am just saying I am willing to try." "That is more than I deserve," I said. We talked for 2 hours. I answered his questions, all of them, even the hard ones. "Have you tried to find him?" he asked. "Marcus?" "No," I said. "I thought about it, but I did not think I had the right." "Do you know where he is?" "Last I heard, he was in Austin, Texas," I said, "but that was years ago." "Do you think he would want to know about me?" Ethan asked. I do not know, I said honestly. He knew I was pregnant, but I never told him anything after that. I cut off all contact. Maybe I should try to find him, Ethan said. My heart sank, but I nodded. If that is what you want, I will support you. I do not know what I want, he said. I do not know who I am anymore. You are, Ethan, I said. You are smart and kind and strong, and you are loved. That has not changed. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Can I ask you something? Anything? I said. Do you still love Dad? The question caught me off guard. Yes, I said. I will always love him. But I also know I hurt him too much for him to ever forgive me, and I have to live with that. He is really hurt, Ethan said. He tries to hide it, but I can tell. I know, I said, and I am sorry for all of it. Ethan nodded. I should go, he said. I told Dad I would be home by 3. Okay, I said. Can we do this again? Maybe next week? Yeah, he said. I would like that. We hugged again. This time, it was a little less awkward, a little longer. As I watched him walk out of the diner, I felt something I had not felt in months. Hope. Over the next year, Ethan and I met for dinner once a month, sometimes twice. We talked, we argued, we cried, we slowly started rebuilding. He told me about school, about his friends, about the girl he was dating. He told me about his plans for college. He was thinking about studying engineering, like Daniel. I told him about my job, about the kids I was mentoring, about therapy. I told him about the support group, about the women I had met, about the work I was doing to become a better person. One day, he asked me about Marcus again. Have you thought any more about finding him? I asked. Yeah, he said. I looked him up online. I found his Facebook page. He still lives in Austin. He is married, has 2 kids. How do you feel about that? I asked. I do not know, he said. Part of me wants to reach out. Part of me does not. What is stopping you? I asked. I do not want to mess up his life, he said. He does not know about me, and maybe it is better that way. That is your choice to make, I said. But whatever you decide, I will support you. He nodded. I will think about it. As of now, he still has not reached out, but the option is there, and someday, if he decides to, I will help him. Daniel and I do not speak. I have seen him a few times, from a distance, at Ethan's high school graduation, at a baseball game. Each time my heart breaks a little more. I wrote him a letter once, a long letter where I apologized again, where I told him he was a good man and a good father, where I thanked him for raising Ethan. I told him I did not expect a response. I just needed him to know. He never responded, and I understand. I do not blame him. Some things cannot be forgiven. But I am learning to live with that. I am learning to carry the weight of my mistakes without letting them crush me. I still go to therapy. I still attend the support group. I still work at Second Chances. I still live in the same small apartment. I still wake up every morning and have to face the woman in the mirror, the woman who lied, who hurt the people she loved, who destroyed a family. But I am not hiding anymore. I am not pretending I did not do what I did. I am owning it. I am learning from it. I am becoming someone who would never make that choice again. It has been over a year now since the truth came out. Over a year since my life fell apart. Over a year since I lost almost everything. Ethan and I have dinner once a month. Sometimes he calls me just to talk. Sometimes he texts me funny memes or pictures of his dog, a rescue he adopted 6 months ago. We are not where we used to be. We may never be. But we are somewhere. And that is more than I thought I would have. Daniel and I do not speak. I do not know if we ever will, but I hope someday he finds peace. I hope he finds someone who will love him the way he deserves to be loved, someone who will be honest with him, someone who will never betray him the way I did. I still live in the apartment. I still work at the nonprofit. I still go to therapy. I still attend the support group. I am not the same person I was in 2007. I am not the woman who lied because she was afraid. I am not the woman who put her own comfort above the truth. I am someone who owns her mistakes, someone who understands that forgiveness is not a right, it is a gift. Someone who knows that healing does not mean erasing the past. It means learning to carry it with honesty and grace. I hurt people I loved. I destroyed a family. I lived a lie for 16 years. But I am not hiding anymore. I wake up every morning, and I look at myself in the mirror, and I do not look away. I do not flinch. I look at the woman who made those choices, and I say, "You did this. You caused this pain, and now you have to live with it." And then I get dressed. I go to work. I help kids who are struggling. I meet with my therapist. I attend my support group. I do the work. Because that is all I can do. I cannot undo the past. I cannot take back the lie. I cannot erase the pain I caused. But I can choose every single day to be better than I was. I can choose honesty over fear. I can choose accountability over excuses. I can choose to show up even when it is hard, even when it hurts, even when I do not think I deserve to. Some people will never forgive me. Daniel may never forgive me. And I have to be okay with that. Because forgiveness is not something you can demand. It is something you have to earn. And even then, it is a gift, not a guarantee. I am learning to forgive myself. Not because I deserve it, but because I cannot move forward if I am stuck in the past. I am learning that I am more than the worst thing I have ever done, that I am capable of change, that I am worthy of redemption, even if I never receive it from the people I hurt. I am learning that it is never too late to start living honestly, even if it costs you everything. So let me ask you this. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have told the truth from the beginning? Would you have confessed when you found out you were pregnant? Would you have had the courage I did not have? Or would you have made the same choice I did? I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not asking you to understand. I am just telling you my story, because maybe, somewhere, someone needs to hear it. Someone who is living a lie right now. Someone who is afraid to tell the truth. And I want you to know, the truth will come out. It always does. And when it does, the damage will be so much worse than if you had been brave enough to speak it in the first place. Do not be like me. Do not let fear turn you into someone you do not recognize. Tell the truth, even when it is hard, even when it costs you everything. Because a life built on lies is not a life at all. I learned that the hardest way possible, and I hope you never have to. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not turning away. Thank you for hearing my story, even though it is ugly and painful and full of shame. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you that we are all human and we all make mistakes, please share it. Because stories like this, hard as they are, remind us that we are not alone. We all fall. We all fail. We all hurt people we love, but we do not have to stay fallen. We can get up. We can do better. We can become the people we wish we had been all along. It is never too late, even if it feels like it is, even if you have lost everything, even if you think you are beyond saving. You are not. I am proof of that. I am still here, still trying, still learning, still hoping that someday the good I do will outweigh the harm I caused. And if I can do it, so can you. So please, if you are living a lie right now, if you are hiding something that is eating you alive, if you are afraid to tell the truth, I am begging you, do it. Tell the truth. Rip off the bandage. Face the consequences. Because the longer you wait, the worse it will be, and the truth will set you free. Not in a way that makes everything okay, but in a way that lets you breathe again, in a way that lets you sleep at night, in a way that lets you look yourself in the mirror. I am still learning that, but I am getting there, one day at a time, one honest moment at a time. And that, I have learned, is enough.